Welcome to the American Graduate segment of Almanac. I'm your host, Lissa Jones, public affairs host of Urban Agenda on KMOJ Radio and the director at the Minnesota African American Museum. We welcome you to this segment, which is taking place in the carriage house of the Minnesota African American Museum and Cultural Center. This year, American Graduate is focused on Black youth success in education and in life. And if you're interested in more information, you can find it at tpt.org/American Graduate. Now we'll have the graduates introduce themselves so you know a little bit about them as we get started in our conversation.
My name is Shakira Jakes. I graduated from Burnsville Alternative High School.
And if you had to think of 3 words that demonstrate to people what your high school education meant to you, what would they be?
It would be difficult, helpful, and positive.
Difficult, helpful, and positive. And you, young man, welcome to this segment of Almanac. Tell us a little bit about who you are, where you graduated from, and what 3 words you think best reflect your high school experience.
Well, I'm Michael Arnold. I graduated from South High School. 3 words to describe it. Let's see. Compelling, complex, and strategic.
Compelling, complex, and strategic. I'm going to be interested to find out what's behind that. And you are up next. Will you tell us a little bit about yourself, where you graduated from, and what your 3 words would be?
My name is Isha Brantley. I graduated from Washburn High School, and my 3 words are Black Box Theater.
Excellent.
I'm so mad you just said that.
Lucian, I wanted to respond and I didn't. Now you have to do the same. Young man, would you please introduce yourself? Welcome to Almanac, and tell us a little bit about yourself, your high school, and what 3 words describe your experience.
I'm Lucian Parker. I graduated from Washburn High School, and I think 3 words to describe my high school experience. Structured, poetic, and longevity.
Well, let's follow that thread a little bit. Michael, tell us why you chose those 3 words.
I chose those 3 words.
Remind us what they were.
My 3 words were compelling, complex, and strategic. I say strategic because going into school, I was kind of raised to have like a certain plan or agenda of what you want to get out of it and what was the end goal. And obviously that's getting the diploma and then moving on to college. Then complex would be the setup of the school and how it differed from where I came from, being from North Minneapolis and going to a school in the South Minneapolis area. It was a complexity to me because being around cultures or groups of people that I'm not used to, then dealing with a school that is different in district and school like structure than what I'm normally used to. Then compelling was the fact that it is a different place and there's a different group of people that I always wanted to get to know. I always like getting to know other cultures and groups of people. So seeing a more diverse community of people was just something that attracted me.
Thank you. That gives me a lot of insight. And how about you, lovely lady? You chose 3 words too. Will you remind us what they were?
Positive, helpful, and difficult.
Positive reminds me of your spirit. Tell us why you chose those words.
I chose those words because when I first started going to Burnsville Alternative High School, I was kind of nervous, first off, because of the rumors that we've heard from alternative high schools, like kids who fresh out of jail want to get their education, kids were fighting. I was nervous, but when I first started, I noticed that no one was ever like that, and it was kind of helpful to get to know other people and why they came to that school, either because they dropped out from moving, they dropped out either because of their pregnancy or just any other stuff. And what was difficult was trying to get used to having a small setting area, because I used to come from Burnsville High School and it was so big, and over at Burnsville Alternative High School is just smaller classes, smaller students, and just hands-on. I never got hands-on at Burnsville High School because teachers would expect you to know this stuff already, either from middle school or even elementary, and I moved a lot. I never learned any of this stuff. So when they noticed, helpful is what I noticed, that most kids are afraid to ask for help, and they would notice that you are too afraid to ask, so they would literally, hey, I noticed you struggled in this, let's sit down for a minute during lunch and just go through it. And that's what I really liked about it. And over at the high school, they would kind of notice it, but they would never really take action of it. They would kind of be like, okay, she doesn't get it, I don't know what to do. Over at Cedar, she doesn't get it. I'm going to go help her. I see that she can get it if I just show her step by step. And they would answer the question that I would ask them. The high school would answer the question with a question. And no one likes that type of response. There, Cedar, well, this was also called Cedar, but they changed the Burnsville alternative. It was just very positive. Everyone was so positive about either graduating or getting their assignment done. And we always have time to do our assignments. And they would make it a positive by either having people who have the same assignment and just get in a circle group and they would just learn it or just study and everything. And it's just either with that, some kids, when you get done with it, you can graduate early. That's what I loved about it. You can graduate early, either at 11th grade or even 10th grade or even a freshman. And that's what I thought was really cool. And I was supposed to graduate early my 11th grade year, but I actually wanted to sit through my senior year because my senior year is what my biggest goal was, to enjoy my senior year.
And I want to come back to that because that's a really important part. You dropped a lot of information about how you want to learn, about collaboration, about how teachers approach you, educational style. I don't want to lose that. It's very rich, and I want to come back to that in just a few minutes. Is that all right with you?
Oh, yes, of course.
Fantastic. Black Box Theater, take it away.
Black Box Social Justice Theater, right? Really helped me find a place in high school. I was really lost before I got into Black Box Theater. You have to say social justice theater because it's a different type of black box theater, right? Miss Crystal Sprague really helped me find my voice in society and in my community and in my home and, in myself. And I think that's a beautiful thing. And a lot of students don't have that. So I am Black Box Theater, right? That's how I feel. I feel like I walk around and I wear it because that's the reason why I'm sitting here with you guys. That's the reason why I'm able to talk to everybody and express and voice my opinion, because I got an opportunity that a lot of students don't get.
Well, and I could tell when you stepped into the carriage house, that was the first thing I heard was your beautiful voice. That's a powerful thing. And Lucian, they call you Luke, huh? Do you have a preference?
Lucian.
Lucian? Okay. So Lucian, would you remind us what your 3 words were and tell us what they mean to you?
Yeah, structured, poetry, and longevity. I think when you really sit down and try to wrap your head around the fact that the majority of things in your life are set up in a system, whether you know it or not. And that's what really happened for me is I really sat down and I contemplated on high school, and like this is about my junior year, halfway through my junior year. And I was like, there's no room for creative kids in high school, almost, without black box theater, without spoken word class. There's not, in terms of the core classes, there's no room for creative thinking. And that was where I was like, man, like this is too structured for me. And I think that's one of the beauties of college is you get to structure your passion into a career and into something that's going to be long term. That's the longevity part. And I think making it through the 4 years of high school is really vital for making it to the next step. But I think there's not a lot done in terms of breaking the system of structured, one-sided, simple-minded, this is how you do it, that's it. I think sometimes there's not a lot of room for question.
Education by rote, basically.
Yeah, the sit in the rows in the classroom, and there's a teacher at the front. The very structured system of teaching, and I don't.
So I want to follow up on something. Do you guys resonate to this idea that there's very little room for a creative student? What about a creative black student?
Oh, no room at all, right? Because
Okay.
if you're a creative black student, right, then you end up in the SPAN program because you can't sit down, or you can't stop answering all the questions, or I had that problem at IB, right?
Yeah.
I was always raising my hand. I was always like, I got the answer. I feel like there's no room for creative black students at all. I think many times we have to create our own space. Miss Spring and Keynote opening up space for us to write freely and to express helped us in those classes. Helped us sit without talking all the time, or I wasn't ashamed to sit in the front of the classroom. after going through, after learning how to express through art,
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's powerful. How about you? Did Burnsville Alternative have a way to make space for you to be a Black creative student? It sounds like they have a very singular approach.
Honestly, yes. Because mostly the school is by a lot of Black students, either kids that come from St. Paul, Minneapolis, Hastings, Lakeville, everywhere. And with Cedar being so small, everybody had a chance to speak. And they never really liked the whole sit in front of the classroom, sit in the back. Everyone would kind of just have like their own little area. Like we had like a classroom where the tables were into a circle, like just a big old circle, and everybody would just be around each other. Never really like, oh, she's in front of class, she's a smart person. Back class, people don't know nothing. Middle class, they're just quiet ones. Everyone just kind of sat around, just sat there and chilled. And Burnsville Alternative High School is like, no one cares if you're Black, white, Hispanic, anything like that. You're all just Cedar kids. Like, Cedar is a family. That's what it was originally called Cedar, but they turned it into Burnsville High School. A lot of kids are upset about that because they try to separate themselves from Burnsville High School. But Cedar is a family. Like, we are all family in that small school because everyone knows everyone, so no one can talk about somebody. No one can either say fight somebody or just hate on that person because everyone knows everybody, even if you graduated before or if you're just coming this year. And me, I've been there for 2 years, so everyone, when people, like, come in, they're like, oh, yeah, you're Shakira Jakes. I've heard about you. You're so cool. How'd you hear about me? You never knew who I was. And they say, oh, I heard from that person. And everyone's just chill, and everyone has a voice. Like, so we just started student council, and first student council ever in Cedar, and they picked me and my friend Lindsay because our 11th grade year, we were the most kind of positive, the most, like, icebreaker for new kids that would be nervous that the rumors that they hear about Cedar, they come from the high school. Hey, Cedar's not like that. We do this, we do that. This is so fun. All of that. And everyone would just be like, okay, this is cool. And for when you have the answer in a class, the teacher, they'd be like, so many kids raise their hand. The teacher would struggle to pick which kid to give that answer to. Not like the smartest kid or either the dumbest kid. They would just struggle because they know all the kids got the answer. So it's like, who am I going to choose first? Oh, you. And everyone's like, man, I got that answer though. Why'd you pick me? And it's what I just love so much about that school, that everyone does have something to say, and you will never be put down on what you got to say.
Affirmation. Affirmation in a school. That sounds like a very cool place to go to school.
Yeah, I love Cedar. I'm actually sad that I graduated from over there.
I bet that's good news to the principal.
Yeah.
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 So how about you? Did you have an experience trying to be creative? Did you have any same or similar or different experience trying to be Black and creative at school?
Well, my experience with being creative or even being Black and creative, particularly at South, it was easier than I thought. At South, we had so many avenues to open up ourselves creatively. I recently took a creative writing class because I was so into, after my Lincoln Comp class, into actually structuring and writing. So I took a creative writing class. I also took a photography class, intro to design class, multiple forms of painting, drawing. We have, what's it called? How they build up ceramics.
Oh, yes.
There was so many ways. We had what I figure is relatively new because I've never heard of it before. We had a class called Heart, and it just stood for hand art. So the students there, we had our own black box theater. That's where they had the class at. So I'll see them like little snapshots or them just making, like, it seemed like they would have plays, actually making pieces of art, and they had like a field trip like every other day. They're going out to like the Walker Art Museum or other places like that. So at my school, is particularly if you took the time to look through your classes and what was available to you, you had so many avenues to express yourself in class or even out of class, because then you have all of our like student groups. Each race had a student group. So we had KMOJ was our Black student group, Unidos, the Latino group. Then we used to have a Somali group there as well. And you have ASA, the Asian groups. And a group that I was particularly a part of was START. And that was like a Black equity and equality group. So just to express yourself, or whether it was like politically, artistically, there's so many avenues that we had at our school. So I never felt that I had to struggle in that manner.
And is South still a magnet school? Is it still a magnet, an IB school? We'll find out.
Yeah,
Because
I
I'm
really see
interested to see what different schools offer in terms of curriculum. So you have the black box. Lucian, what was your experience trying to be gifted, creative, and black?
I mean, I was always really like an independent, headstrong person, and I took the time to figure out where I could do my pockets of my form of art. But I think, like, keeping in mind the fact that in terms of, like I mentioned before, in terms of like core curriculum, there wasn't room for creativity, black, white, Hispanic, you know,
Creativity of any
Asian
kind.
American, Native American, whatever demographic that you represent. There wasn't creative outlets in terms of core classes. I mean, you need some like 4 years of English, 4 years of history, 3 years of math, you know, a year at gym and a year of art, a year of art. You know, I think that's the biggest point that stands out to me. And then the art that's offered is only painting and ceramics. You can only take a art class where you can paint, sculpt, you know, things like that. There's a spoken word class in terms of hip hop culture. There's a spoken word class that you can take one day of the week that doesn't start until a few months into the year. And I think not having those outlets now forces me to go outside of school and figure that out for myself, which then takes away from school in a sense, you know, or takes away from art because of school, because now I have to try to balance homework and varsity sports and working a job with doing the thing that I love to do the most. And that's where I feel like the structured form of the schooling system is the worst. There's not, I mean, I had a history class and I wrote a paper, and my teacher actually told me, like, Lucian, you write too creatively, like, for this point I was like, huh, you know, like, so you want me to be more simple-minded and write more, have more simplicity to my writing, because the history needs to be, you know, very, and I think it was crazy to me.
So I digress for just a minute. Whose history? What history did you learn?
I mean, I feel like I learned
American
about
history.
I learned about Black history in 8th grade, right, at Anthony Middle School, and that was the first time I ever found out that we wasn't just slaves. You know, I learned about Langston Hughes or Neil Hurston. I learned about our culture, our art, you know, and I was like, oh, so what I have is like in my blood, you know, like, and that was before I was like owning my art, you know. I think school teaches us not to own things that everybody else doesn't do. Like, not everybody can write a complex paper and think deeper than just history. You know what I'm saying? So if you're the only kid in the class that can articulate yourself so well that your teacher can't understand you kind of feel like, okay, maybe I shouldn't do it. Maybe I should be quiet. Maybe.
It's like there's a boundary to like philosophize.
Right.
You know,
and
like
it used to make me afraid to ask, like, can we not go to, like, they were reading, what book did you guys read in IB?
Oh, we read Native Son.
They read Native
That's
Son.
a great book.
You know, and his teacher said, you know, I would like to once in my teaching career say, we're going to go to the white part of, you know, the semester now. We're going to teach the white books, the white book now, you know.
And have that be kind of like
and have that be like, and to see how the students feel about that, because she has to say, well, now we're going to teach the African American part about, you know, in this class, this segment is going to be about, you know, African Americans. And I think that's great. The first book I've ever read by a Native American man was in 9th grade. You know, Alexis?
Sure,
yeah,
Alexi.
you know?
Yeah.
One of the things that I find happens in history is we separate out American history by people as though we weren't all together in the same spaces making history.
Right.
So how about your history at alternative school? How about your history at South? Tell us a little bit about, one second, I want to go back to something real quick. You got so excited, and I see in myself this whole idea of discovering your history awakens you to a new kind of political consciousness.
Yeah.
You start to own it, and you're smiling. Right. Is this how you felt when you got a chance to hear about your history? Tell us about it.
When I went, from when I was a little kid, we had Black History Month, and we would learn about Martin Luther King, and I never knew who Martin Luther King was. I just thought he was the man that spoke at that pointy tower thingy. and like I have a dream. And then I learned more about it, and I'm just like, that's amazing. And at Cedar, we learned, I learned that a black man actually invented the light bulb. What's his name? Benjamin Franklin did not invent the light bulb. He discovered electricity, but a black man invented the light bulb. Right. And a black man invented the refrigerator. The black man invented the stoplight and everything. And what I'm hearing is that a lot of white people would take that credit from them, because they would. What my godmother taught me is that they never wanted to feel less superior to black people. And I'm just like thinking, why not? Because you're just going to use this in the future. Like, you're all using this for the future that we created for all of you. So you should be thanking us and not feeling less, superior to us. And when I said that in class, my teacher, she's like, oh, I never knew that. And my brother told me that when he would say something like that, they would get upset with him. That's a lie. That's not the truth. But my teachers at Cedar, they would be like, yes, that is the truth. I'm so proud of you for knowing that. Extra credit, A+. I'm like, it's the easiest A+ I got. It's cool for me. And my teacher, Ms. Mueller, she was actually, when we actually did one for Selma, I couldn't go to that because I had this other thing I had to do. I couldn't go see the movie, and they had this spoken word, and I really wanted to go. And I was just mad they had something to do. But they went to go see Selma, and a lot of the students, the black students, were super duper mad when they came out the theater. Some of them even left and didn't want to watch the rest of the movie. Ms. Mueller was talking about that she remembered hearing about this when she was growing up, and that it upsetted her as a little kid. And how that's so wrong, and how there's no reason for them to be treating black people like this. And I never seen Selma to this day. I still want to go see it. My mom actually just went to go see it. And she told me that from now on, she's going to start teaching more, because she teaches language arts. So she's going to be teaching more about black culture and everything. And I never took her class, but I would sneak in her class just to sit through a lecture and hear. And with that, Mr. Durden, that's our vice principal, was very ongoing about it. It was very like, yes, you can do that. I just do it. I was thinking about this, but you got it, so do it. And Ms. Mueller was just teaching about it, and I just loved how excited she would get and how excited all the students would get. Like, finally, we're going to be learning a little bit more about this. And you usually learn this in, like, elementary, like a one-day thing. Most of my elementary, one day we learn about this, and that's, like, Rosa Parks and, like, the most famous. You need to stop thinking about Rosa Parks, Martin Luther King, start getting a little deeper in there. Just a little bit more deeper. And that's what Ms. Mueller did.
And it made you excited, and I can hear
Yes.
your voice, and you're speaking fast, and it got you an A+ and extra credit. What about you? What has your history done for you?
My history, well, to put in simplest terms, just learning about it from that base point has been a parabola for me, because I started learning about my own history when I was young in elementary school. I went to give it back, so I went to Mary McLeod Bethune in North Minneapolis, named after a black woman. Yeah, even though they didn't really teach me too much about her. But when it came, because I see this functioning with Black History Month itself. As you grow older, they teach you do less in Black History Month as I've gotten older. Like now in high school, yeah, it's Black History Month. They'll tell me on an announcement. They might throw out like some famous like black writer or somebody that you've known probably since you were 3 years old because your parents knew it. Then, but there would be like no classes, no projects on there or anything. But in school, I vividly remember I was probably second grade. My teacher, Miss Martin, would come in every single day of that month, and even after it, even though they try to like get her to stop a little bit, but she kept going with it. Every single day at the beginning of class, you will learn a new African American person, whether they were famous or not to you, every single day. And she'll make sure you knew it. You read a little excerpt on her every single day of that month. Then in middle school, I went to Best Academy, which is the school inside of Harvest Preparatory, where that's basically all black.
Hotep scholar.
Hotep. Every single day. That's when I got into learning about my people. And now I kind of get like, because I wear these glasses, I get like, a lot of people try to call me like Malcolm X or whatever. That's when I started really diving into my own culture, whether it was like the most popular of how I see people when they start learning about it. They'll probably start around like Egyptians when they go into Africa. This is because it's like the lifestyle and the people there are popularized, and that's where you get the real sense of when they talk about, yes, we're kings, they were like beyond kings because the pharaoh was actually considered a god. So it was beyond that of being king. Then you could like they drop back when you get down to like Mansa Musa, where it was actually kings and emperor, richest man in like the world, but they won't tell you that. They refuse to call him like the richest man that probably ever lived.
You are teaching. You are teaching right from the cradle of civilization. Can Musa went to Africa and bankrupted every community he went in because he had so much money. There was nothing he could do. They didn't have that much money in their economies. And he would come and travel and he would make banks and bankrupt the bank because he was spending so much money. Can Musa. Oh, this is fantastic. Did your high school education prepare you for life?
In terms of
The kind of life you think you're going to want to lead? That's a big telling answer.
Don't get me started in high school. High school. I think when you are a person that goes out and educates yourself, right? Then you take the time to take little pieces of everything that you do in high school. If you're somebody that can take those pieces and form something for yourself, I think high school prepares you in that sense. I think whether you're in high school or not, that's still 4 years of your life that, I mean, you can either get educated or you can sit at home. And I think that, with that being said, I think high school prepared me for a life journey of not necessarily in terms of like the career field that I want to go into, because I mean it didn't it at all. You know, I studied things that I don't want to study. You know, I had to take repeated notes on things that have no relevance to my life. You know, I took the highest level IB history class, you know, and I think like none of that has anything to do with what I plan on doing for the next 40 years of my life.
Which is?
Hip hop, music, you know, I think communications, like promotion, like the, you know, I think that has nothing to do with, and it wasn't even history that you know, I wouldn't cite that anywhere. Like, oh yeah, I learned about, you know, the American, I think the Latin American, like the civil wars in like Latin America and the single party states in Latin America. That was really interesting to me. But I think like, you know, Columbus and the normal stuff that everybody says is like what we learn is like, that has no relevance to my life. All it is you're just telling me that my girlfriend's family is Native American, part Native American. So now I'm sitting in this classroom just learning about how this man came in and committed mass genocide against millions of indigenous people, and I'm like, why is this, like, why are you proud of this? Like, but we're here now. Like, America's a giant country, yeah, and it's based on genocide. Like, how is that something that you're proud to teach me? That doesn't make sense.
This is the conundrum that Frederick Douglass wrestled with. An
Yeah,
African
like-
and American are two souls warring with each other, trying to yearn to be free. The African doesn't want to use genocide to rule the world. They want to use culture and creativity.
Right.
And yet the Americas use genocide.
It just blew my mind. Like,
That's absolutely right. It's
this
a
is what
conscious
you
education.
want to present to me as a student. And I think going off what Michael said, like, I think the repetition of learning about your community and Black culture is not done enough. You know, I did a project in like 4th grade on Frederick Douglass, but I did one project on Frederick Douglass. I don't remember anything about Frederick Douglass now 14 years later. You know, I think like there's, and how are you going to, you know, ask a kid to? I think, why is there such an emphasis on all of these incredible things when you're too young to remember it and actually help it or have it propel you through life, when you can't, you know, you can't even fathom what's going on. You can't show me, you know, a 9-year-old 12 years a slave, because they're not going to understand what's
They
happening.
can't grapple with it.
You don't understand the relevance of that movie, of that book, or of what perspective is being taught through literature like that, you know. And I think that's the craziest. Why is it so big and when you're so young and can't understand what's happening?
So when you got hip to your history, how do you see that intersecting with high school? Did it make you more excited to go to school, less excited? Did it drive your desire to want to know more about yourself? Was this the time you said, this is the high school for me because they're speaking about me? How did you feel? Either
Well,
one of you can go.
I'll start off. When they got to the part of high school, this goes back to when I said it's more a parabola for me. I reached my peak in learning about my own people and my own culture and how I am as a person now by 8th grade in middle school. 9th grade, I came in, it was U.S. world history.
Yeah.
They try to go in like to Egypt and things, but my teacher was like very like kind of like just it was a glance over. It's like the 10% of the glacier thing that they talk about. I only reached the surface. Then I go into AP U.S. history 10th grade year. That year it just highlighted how in my head, like when we just talk about Columbus and stuff, it just highlighted how bad it was to obtain this land grab that we have right now, how just deceitful and the hurt that was committed in grabbing this current land, and it just expels all the people that were hurt getting to it. And I was like, why is this like you make this, and it's an AP class, so I have to be in an advanced mind state to learn about the tragedies that happen to so many different cultures and people, and that was that. Then 11th grade hit, and that year I can't even go through like another like history class. I probably had it. I don't even remember it at this point. But just going through that, elementary school and middle school was what drove me to, because people look at me like having expanded vocabulary and using like words that might have like 7-syllable words that most people struggle to pronounce, say, or even understand what the word means in general. That's where I grew to have like how you're like complexity and learning about like if like you said like the hip hop and stuff, like learning how to write entendres and metaphors and similes. And when you start getting to that, that's why I got into creative writing. But as I grew older, that want and seeking to learn of knowledge, it lessened. High school kind of made it dull for me. It was very glanced over, and that's why I feel like when like black students, that's why you see when they're tired by the time they hit high school.
And then you have black students that start pulling out of class mentally.
Yeah.
Keep going.
And then you have kids that start doing other things and now your grades reflect you as a person.
Yeah.
And there's this big emphasis on your grades tell you that you're an intelligent, intellectual, creative human being, and I think that's bull. And I mean, like all high school, I had a relatively outstanding GPA, but I had parents that like really pushed that upon me. But I was miserable in the classes that I took. You know, I would come home like, Dad, there is nothing that I'm learning right now that has anything to do with what I want to do.
Right.
And you two are resonating. The ladies, you're resonating with this. You're shaking your heads. Say more.
Well, what he said, that grades define like if you're smart or not with everything. With me, my grades have always been either like C's or B's mostly. I've probably gotten an A, let's say in art class. People say art is like an easy A, not really. But I always just like, I never really, what other kids would do when they found out like grades don't really define if you're smart or not, they would kind of just be like, whatever, grades are stupid, I don't care. Type stuff. Me, I was never like, my mom would push me to get like let's say at least an A in one class, and that was art, and she's like, well, you got an A, it's cool. But I feel like if it comes to chemistry, I actually got a B in chemistry, and I used to hate chemistry so much at the high school, but when I went to Cedar, I loved it, and it was just amazing. And with that, all my other grades kind of felt like, okay, I'm good at this, but like I'm not good at that. And all the other kids got straight A's in all their other classes. I feel like, okay, they're a super smart person, and me, I'm kind of like average and all that stuff. And some I can't remember her name, but she said that as long as you're good at one thing, then that one thing can actually like make you a better person and have you know that you're good at one thing in the future. So if you're good at art, you're going to do something cool that's like artistic related. If you're good at chemistry, you're going to do something that's science related. Like you can work at the science museum or something like that. And that really made me feel very, okay, happy. If I'm good at one thing, then that one thing can actually see, like, what am I good at in the future? High school, I don't, like, kind of off topic, I don't really feel like high school determines your future. I feel like college honestly does more. Because college, when I took a tour to St. Paul College, they had everything there for your future. They say high school determines your future. High school is for college. Like, they have more stuff for college, like college tours, college people from the college area come and give you, like, you know, little pamphlets and everything. College is just what you want to do for your future. High school is not. Yeah. It's just what it wants to do for college. They should kind of have that, you know, high school is for just college.
And this is a perfect segue, but I don't want to transition until we hear from you, because you also were resonating to this idea that a grade in high school almost feels like a grade on your worth, a grade on your personality.
So I got into Columbia in Chicago, right? And that was like my dream school. I toured with Project Success, and I went and I toured it, and it was amazing.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's right. Double.
It was like my dream school, and I got my financial aid packaging, and they wanted me to pay $30,000. They wanted me to take out $30,000 in loans or paying plus loans. And when we called the financial aid person, he said, we don't give out need-based money. We give out merit-based money. And I have a 2.6 GPA, and like Luke is really familiar, but I couldn't get good grades because I was working a job to support my siblings and to make sure that we kept household, to make sure that they had the things that they need, you know, from a day to day, you know. And I love school. I want to be a teacher. I want to, you know, I love going to school, you know, and I would take those sucky classes, or I would not challenge myself because IB class, you know, you have to spend more time doing the homework, and I didn't want to ruin my grades, you know, so I did take the easy classes.
And you were tired.
Yeah, I was tired all the time, you know, and to know that I can't go to my dream school because my grades or because my GPA, you know, I'm much better than an ACT score. I'm much better than a GPA. If you sat down and had a conversation with me, you would think I got a 4.0. You would think that
or a 5.0.
You know, or I'm a global student. You know, I can sit and have the difficult conversations and be professional and put, you know, I put on my own plays. I write my own plays. You know, I know how to network. You know, the things that we
are the most accomplished in don't come from school.
Don't come from school. You know, we had to learn how to do this because we are artists. You know, and they don't teach you how to survive as an artist in school. They teach you how to survive as an engineer. Or, you know, I don't know how to, like, they just teach you how to survive in that everyday American jobs.
Yes.
And I know you want to segue, but I just really quickly, like, the biggest thing to me is I think kids, even I, got extremely good at regurgitating.
Good.
Regurgitating. Like, the information was never processed past regurgitation, and that's like the biggest thing for me. I mean, when we read Native Son and we read like, I hate Hemingway, but there was so much to it though. You know, I don't like his style, but there was so much to it. But it's the English class that majority of the creative kids start gravitating towards, because that's the only class that you can, you know, like.
When we took IB, language and literature, together junior year, we read Zora Neale Hurston, Their Eyes Were Watching God.
Yeah,
and me and Luke, we were the only two in the classroom like, y'all don't
get it. Y'all don't get
understand what she's saying?
Everybody would look at us like we were
and then
crazy,
we read
like
Feed.
Crazy black people.
We read Feed, right after that.
Yeah, we read Feed.
By who's that by?
I don't care.
Remember.
I don't know.
Me and Luke, everybody's like, this book is so amazing and it's so cool, and it had no substance. It had no purpose. It didn't hold a message. You know what I'm saying? I can read that book and be like, wow.
Have you ever read Feed?
Okay, yeah, like I don't even that's the problem with IB classes. It
Crazy.
silence out the voices of colored people, right? Because me and Luke were the only two
we would go crazy.
Black people in that class that was so excited to hear a black woman's voice in a book, to learn about it,
right.
to to analyze, right? And that's why I stopped taking IB classes, because I got tired of being the only, and now that I'm older, I'm like, well, we shouldn't be afraid to be the only, but at the same time, when I sat down to sign up for classes my senior year, my counselor didn't say, well, you want to take an IB class?
Oh man, your counselor.
We need another 3 hours to talk about these different things, because they are very deep. Each one of them deserves its own examination. And to really think about this idea that when Richard Wright is speaking to you, native son, you understand why he gets angry. When Zora Neale Hurston is jumping at the sun, you understand why she can't contain herself. These are things that come from our culture. Mary McLeod Bethune, the drums of Mother Africa still beat in my heart. I won't rest. So how does your culture, how did it fit into your experience in high school? Could you find it? Could you grab it? Could you celebrate it? Could you do anything with it?
You want to tell?
Oh, well, with Cedar, it's like, we never read any kind of books that you guys are talking about right now. So I'm like sitting here like, what are they talking about? I kind of want to read these books. You guys get excited. I actually kind of want to read it, actually.
Your son's intense.
The books that we would honestly read were just like, we kind of barely read books like that, because we would always just kind of talk about real life type stuff. Like, how to get a job, applications, everything. So that's what Cedar was about. Like, how to keep a job, how to put in your 2 weeks notice, how to, pay your own bills in your house, and how to financially keep yourself stable and everything. So we would get creative on another side of the school. Like, the art room and the gym and everything was on the other side of the whole school. And everything else was on just one big hallway. Like economics, world history, language arts, chemistry, all of that. And when it comes to, only one book I actually read at Cedar was called Tuesdays with Maury. And I actually liked that book, because it was really like, don't say something you promised and not keep that promise until something bad happens to that person, and you're just actually gonna like, okay, I feel bad now, I should go see that person, because that's gonna just sit on your heart for the rest of your life when that person passed. And that kind of taught us, like, make time for the person that is important to you, and that if you see something wrong with them, don't just have a guilt to go see that person. But like, you guys talking about all these books and how creative and awesome it is, I kind of feel like, okay, like, what the crap did I do in high school, and what did I learn about my culture? My culture, well, in high school, we had like I love everybody at my school, but there were some kids that would really make me mad, because they would just like up and leave to go do something because they feel bad about something. Like, I hate school. If you hate it, why'd you come today? Why did you come today if you hate school so much? You're coming, because my parent made me. No. My mom, honestly, I'm afraid of my mother, I'm gonna be honest. Okay, I love my mom, but I am kind of scared of her. So if I'm sick or something, she's like, take aspirin, go to school. That's how she is. Go take yourself some super chew and go to school. It was never, unless it's like the flu virus and it's contagious, strep. Like, okay, you can stay here, but call your teacher and sit there that lesson on the phone. Done that. Write down some notes, whatever. Or my friend would send me a note. But with other kids, they would get mad because over some stupid stuff. Over some dumb stuff. Did you get your assignment done? No. Oh, then that's 1 point docked. Oh, whatever. I'm leaving. And that would just make me mad. Like, and it was always the black students. They would either like, I really hate when they talk about their gangs. They were doing the stereotypical black person, and I hated it. I hated it so much. And they would always bully me because I don't talk like a black girl. Liz, you sound like a white girl, and I'm just like, I don't understand that. I don't understand, seriously. And that's what I honestly wish I would have gone to one of your guys' schools, honestly, because you guys sound like, yeah, I got a lot to say.
I'm almost unable to speak.
Yes.
Because we're sitting in the heart of the Minnesota African American Museum Carriage House, and to hear that our young people haven't read Richard Wright or Zora Neale Hurston or June Jordan or...
If you ask some of the Cedar
Walsh.
kids, they would not know who that is.
Or Nikki Giovanni or
Maya Angelou,
James Baldwin. It almost feels like highway, like somebody robbed you.
Pretty much.
What about you, Michael? What's going on with you right now?
So, I mean, there's 2 points to that. First, at that age, you're so impressionable that whatever you learn, it's like a faith in like religion. You take that to heart. There's nothing that anybody else can say once you've learned that and it's ingrained in you that would change that thought. But also, there's a thing that you have at that age that like what we're starting to get, we don't really have that anymore. It's up to us, and it's curiosity. At that age, like that's how I got to the point of learning so much and being like a kid that I kind of became a homebody because I'll sit at home and read books while kids at the age of like 10 was outside playing. I'm in here reading books on how to become a mechanic, engineering, science, learning about black space and like the scientific theory of how to like smash atoms together and splitting those. Because at that age, I watched Discovery Channel one time or the Science Channel one time. I was like, I had to learn that. There's nobody that's going to teach me that. Mm-hmm. But I hit this age where like I used to sketch out architecture of how to like set up fences and everything for my house. And now that like I'm at the age where my mom wants like a fence around our house. I was like, if you would have asked me back when I was in 8th grade, if you would have bought me the wood, I would have took the time to make a fence. But
Exactly.
now I just don't care anymore. I don't have the curiosity or motivation to do that. And that's where I've seen that parabola where they don't teach me what I should know. And at the same time, I don't really care.
We have to take this segment home. So before we go, tell them your name.
Shakira Jakes.
Shakira.
Michael Arnold.
Michael.
Ishay Brantley.
Ishay.
Lucian Parker.
Lucian. These are the young people of the TPT Almanac American Graduate segment. We are delighted to present to you the African American perspectives on graduating from high school. Thank you for your time with us tonight.